Something strange is happening in North America's national parks. Every year, hundreds of people go missing inside these vast wilderness areas. That alone might not seem unusual. National parks are massive, and nature is unpredictable. But every year, a few cases stand out. A few go missing in ways that just don't make sense. A child vanishes even while their parent is watching them. Paulides started digging, and what he found turned into a full-blown obsession. But the pattern is hard to ignore. People disappear under impossible circumstances. And for many who follow the missing 411 cases, the only logical conclusion is that something is hunting people in national parks. He's now spent over 10,000 hours researching thousands of baffling cases that all seem to follow the same eerie patterns. He's published books and documentaries under the name Missing 411. A hiker disappears without a trace, then reappears miles away in a place no one should be able to reach. No footprints, no scent trail, sometimes no body. That's where former police detective David Paulides comes in. He was approached by a park ranger who said, essentially, there's something weird happening out here. Someone needs to look into it. Here's the chilling part. Paulides never makes direct claims about what is going on, something we don't understand. Today, I want to share 5 of the most bizarre, disturbing cases from Missing 411. The largest search in the history of the National Park Service followed. 1,500 people, including Army Green Berets, scoured the terrain. Let's start with one of the most famous. Their kids were around Dennis's age, and before long, the children were all playing hide-and-seek. A family camping nearby, the Key family, had asked a ranger where they might spot bears. Directed to a ridge, they watched the tree line, and then they saw something. Dennis Martin, Smoky Mountains, 1969, when the parents called out for the kids to reveal themselves. All of them came out except Dennis. They returned to a familiar campsite, one they'd used before. Spirits were high. It was the perfect start to a summer memory. Father's Day weekend, a family tradition, less like a mistake, and more like a sighting. Dennis Martin was 6 years old when he joined his brother, father, and grandfather on a camping trip to the Smoky Mountains. The next day, another group of campers passed by. Dennis's father was watching from a distance. He saw Dennis dart behind a tree. Still calm, his father walked over to the tree where he'd seen his son go. But Dennis wasn't there. Panic set in fast. His father sprinted nearly 2 miles down the Appalachian Trail, calling out his son's name. But they found nothing. No tracks, no scent, no body. Dennis Martin had vanished. Years later, while researching the case, Paulides uncovered something disturbing. It looked like a bear, but it ran upright, was covered in hair. It was carrying something or someone over its shoulder. The creature didn't move like a bear. It moved like a man. That report was dismissed at the time. But when you hear it in the context of Missing 411, it starts to sound less like a mistake and more like a sighting. Keith Parkins, Oregon, 1952. 2-year-old Keith Parkins was playing outside his grandfather's ranch in Ritter, Oregon, when he vanished. The family searched, then law enforcement. Hours passed. Eventually, 12 miles away, they found him, face down in the snow. Miraculously, he was alive. His jacket and hat had been removed and placed neatly next to him. He was scratched up, freezing, but conscious. When asked what happened, the toddler only said one thing: "A cat scratched me," over and over. Here's the problem. Temperatures had dropped below zero. 2-year-old couldn't possibly survive a night out in those conditions, especially without proper clothing. Even as a seasoned survivalist, he couldn't do it. Outdoors expert Les Stroud attempted to retrace Keith's 12-mile journey. How did Keith end up 12 miles away, alive? With no memory of how he got there? He set out to photograph Crater Lake in Oregon, but he never returned. Charles McCullar, Crater Lake, 1974. 19-year-old Charles McCullar was a photography student touring national parks. An intense search turned up nothing. Inside was a unique Volkswagen key. It matched Charles's van. Still inside the socks. Bones, no shoes, no jacket, no torso, no signs of trauma. Just bones and pants. A year later, hikers found a backpack deep in the wilderness to 12 miles off the trailhead. Investigators searched the area. they found made no sense, and die neatly 12 miles into snow-covered wilderness with no sign of a struggle. A pair of pants sat neatly on a log. A portion of his skull was discovered 12 feet away. That was it. Charles was declared dead of natural causes. But how does a young man disappear, shed his clothes in a blizzard? Bart Schlayer, Yukon Territory, 2004. Bart Schlayer wasn't just a hunter. He was an elite outdoorsman, spent months in Siberia tracking tigers. He could survive anywhere. In 2004, Bart was flown deep into the Canadian Yukon to hunt moose alone. He arranged for the plane to return in 3 weeks. When it did, Bart was gone. His campsite looked undisturbed. His bow and dry bag were found beside a tree, as if he'd been sitting there, waiting for a moose. Nearby, his teeth and bone fragments. No blood, no signs of a predator attack. His gear hadn't been touched. Even the food was still sitting out. Experts said a predator took him, but no tracks, no fight, no mess. Bart was too experienced to let anything sneak up on him. So what happened? Christopher Tompkins, Georgia, 2002. Christopher was part of a 4-man survey crew walking along a road in Harris County, Georgia. The crew was spaced out 50 feet apart. Chris was last in line, a handful of loose change and tools scattered on the ground. The other boot was found months later, near a swamp nearly 900 yards away. A few seconds later, he turned again, and Chris was gone. One coworker turned to glance behind him. Chris was there. But when you lay the facts out, the vanishings, the impossible distances, witnesses who see something not quite human, it's hard not to draw a chilling conclusion. He found one of his boots tangled in a barbed wire fence. No sign of Chris, just a trail of confusion. It looked like he'd been picked up, turned upside down, and vanished. And that's just the beginning. There are thousands of stories like these. David Paulides doesn't tell us what he thinks is happening. Some believe the answers are rational, that these are just tragic accidents. But others are convinced something is hunting humans in the woods. Is it Bigfoot? Aliens? Government experiments? Or something older? Whatever the truth is, the missing aren't coming back. And the forests are still full. What do you think is happening in America's national parks? Let me know in the comments. And if this kind of strange, serious storytelling is your thing, hit that like button and subscribe. This is semi-serious, and we're just getting started.